This story begins with a 7-year-old girl named Chloe, who has spent her entire life locked inside a house. She has never seen the outside world, never played with other kids, and never even stepped outside the front door. Her father Henry keeps telling her that the outside world is very dangerous. Because of this, Chloe lives in fear and curiosity at the same time. Every time Chloe looks outside through the window, Henry quickly gets angry and tells her to stay away from it. He acts very nervous, almost like he is hiding a huge secret. He is always scared that someone outside might see Chloe. Whenever Henry leaves the house for food or supplies, he repeats the same emergency plan to his daughter again and again. He tells her what to do if he never comes back. This shows that he believes danger could reach them at any moment. Later during dinner, Henry tries to distract Chloe by playing a card game with her. But suddenly Chloe notices blood coming out of her father's eyes. The moment feels very disturbing. Henry calmly explains that this strange problem has been happening to him for a while. Then he tells Chloe something even scarier. He asks her to immediately warn him if her own eyes ever start bleeding too. That night, Chloe asks her father about a mountain she heard about before. Henry suddenly becomes suspicious. He realizes that Chloe may have been secretly reading the newspapers he keeps hidden inside the house. Afraid that she might learn the truth about the outside world, Henry burns all the newspapers. Later that night, Chloe wakes up after hearing a strange sound outside her bedroom. Curious and frightened, she slowly walks toward the door to check what is happening. When she opens the door, she sees a strange woman standing there. The woman suddenly starts screaming loudly and runs across the room in fear. Chloe freezes in shock. She waits quietly, hoping the ghost-like woman will disappear. While waiting, Chloe calmly picks up a pen and starts drawing pictures. The next morning, Chloe tells her father everything she saw during the night. But when Henry opens the room to check, there is nobody there. The room is completely empty. Soon after that, Chloe notices that someone has secretly left a book outside her door. Feeling excited, she quickly runs to her room and starts reading it. For a girl who has spent her whole life trapped inside the house, even a simple book feels magical. While reading, Chloe suddenly hears the music of an ice cream truck outside. Curious, she carefully looks through the window and sees a girl named Harper standing there. For the first time, Chloe comes face to face with someone her own age. At that moment, Chloe quietly wishes that Harper would bring her some ice cream. And strangely, just seconds later, Harper walks up and knocks on the front door. Chloe becomes excited and rushes to open it. But before she can take the chocolate ice cream cone, Henry suddenly steps in and stops her. He looks nervous and immediately asks Harper how she knows Chloe's name. Soon, Harper's mother Nancy also walks over after noticing her daughter talking to the neighbors. She introduces herself politely and smiles at Chloe. Nancy even says that Chloe seems like a completely normal little girl. The moment Henry hears that, his face changes. He quickly ends the conversation, says goodbye, and shuts the door right away. Henry becomes convinced that Chloe has been secretly leaving the house without permission. Angry and scared, he decides to punish her by locking her inside a dark closet. That night, Chloe sits alone in the closet, playing with her homemade toy ice cream truck. But suddenly, something unbelievable happens. Chloe somehow teleports herself into Harper's bedroom without even understanding how she did it. The two girls fall asleep together like best friends. The next morning, Henry apologizes to Chloe for getting angry the night before. He feels guilty for treating her so harshly. Chloe then convinces him to finally go outside and buy her some real ice cream. Hours later, Henry finally returns home, but something is terribly wrong. His clothes are covered in blood, and he is holding a gun in his hand. He quickly locks the door behind him and tells Chloe that someone attacked him outside, but Chloe barely reacts to the scary situation. She is still upset about one thing only, her missing ice cream. Frustrated, she boldly tells her father that if he cannot get it for her, then she will go to the supermarket herself. While Chloe is cleaning and dressing Henry's wound, the man suddenly faints on the floor. At the same moment, something strange happens. Time, which looked frozen around the house before, suddenly starts moving normally again. The lights turn back on, and water begins dripping from the sink. Seeing her father unconscious, Chloe finally gets the courage to do what she has always dreamed of. She opens the hidden safe, takes some money, and quietly leaves the house alone for the very first time in her life. As Chloe walks down the stairs outside, she touches plants and flowers for the first time ever. Everything feels magical to her. She smiles with excitement while looking around at the real world. Soon, she notices the ice cream truck waiting nearby. The driver, Mr. Allen, sees Chloe holding a $100 bill and jokingly tells her that with that much money, she can eat ice cream forever. Then he kindly convinces her to get inside the truck. During the drive, Chloe is amazed by everything around her. She watches kids riding bicycles, people walking their dogs, and families enjoying a normal day outside. For the first time, the world does not look dangerous at all. But suddenly, Chloe notices a warning sign on the street. The sign tells people to stay alert because of dangerous individuals whose eyes bleed. This instantly reminds Chloe of her father. A few minutes later, they arrive at a city park. There, Mr. Allen starts asking Chloe strange questions. He carefully asks if her eyes have ever bled before and whether she has any special abilities. Chloe quickly says that she is just a normal girl. But during the conversation, she learns something shocking. Her mother was once very famous because she had supernatural powers. While they are talking, a police officer walks over and asks Chloe if she knows Mr. Allen. Feeling nervous, Chloe says no. Mr. Allen then tries to convince the officer that Chloe is his granddaughter. At the same time, he secretly tells Chloe that people like this police officer are responsible for killing her mother. He makes Chloe believe the officer is dangerous. Terrified, Chloe looks directly at the officer and tells him to leave. And unbelievably, the officer obeys her command immediately. At that moment, Mr. Allen realizes the truth. Chloe really does have powers. On the way back home, Chloe notices a photo hanging near the steering wheel of the ice cream truck. The picture is of her mother. That is when Chloe finally understands that Mr. Allen is actually her grandfather. Before dropping her off, Allen gives Chloe the photo and secretly tells her to put sleeping medicine into her father's food the next time she hears the ice cream truck outside. A few hours later, Henry wakes up, and once again, time around him suddenly freezes. Panicking, he rushes outside to search for Chloe. He becomes relieved after finding her safely inside her room, quietly drawing pictures. But then Henry realizes something terrible. Chloe escaped the house and discovered that he had been lying to her all along. For the first time, Chloe openly rebels against her father. Furious and heartbroken, she screams that she hates him. Then she admits her biggest dream was always to have a mother who could love and care for her like normal children. Later that night, Chloe stares at the photo Mr. Allen gave her. Suddenly, she understands something horrifying. The ghostly woman she keeps seeing inside the closet is actually her mother. When Chloe sees her again, the woman smiles for a brief moment. But then she suddenly realizes Chloe is not really there with her. The woman begins screaming desperately and begs her captors to let her go. Terrified, Chloe slams the closet door shut and runs away. When she gathers enough courage to look again, the woman has completely disappeared. Shaken by everything she saw, Chloe goes downstairs to tell her father. But Henry is already asleep. That is when Chloe notices the television playing in the living room. She secretly uses Henry's headphones to listen to a news report. The report is hosted by Agent Ray, a woman working for an organization that handles people with supernatural powers, who are called freaks. During the interview, the reporter explains that the government has offered all freaks a peaceful place to live at a location called Matic Mountain, but any freak still hiding inside cities is now considered a criminal. Then the reporter says something even more disturbing. Since the children of freaks are believed to have even stronger powers than their parents, many people think those children should be eliminated for national safety. However, Agent Ray clearly disagrees with that cruel idea. She believes that if these children are raised the right way, they could use their powers to help people instead of hurting them. In her eyes, a child with superhuman powers could become a powerful weapon for the country. That same night, Chloe is suddenly teleported into Harper's bedroom again, while Harper is having a sleepover with her friends. The girls become shocked after seeing Chloe appear out of nowhere. Harper gets angry and tells her to leave immediately. Soon, all the children start calling Chloe a freak. Hurt and scared, Chloe runs toward the closet to hide. But when she opens the door, she once again comes face to face with the mysterious woman. This time, Chloe sees the woman chained up like a prisoner. Slowly, Chloe walks closer and tries to calm her down. But the woman, Mary, believes she is only seeing another hallucination and desperately tells Chloe to go away. Then suddenly, Mary feels Chloe touching her arm. The moment she realizes her daughter is truly standing in front of her, Mary hugs her tightly and breaks down in relief. She cannot believe Chloe is alive. Mary quickly understands that Chloe inherited the same supernatural powers she has. But sadly, she also tells Chloe that she cannot come home to take care of her. The next morning, Chloe wakes up with a new decision in her mind. Since she cannot have her real mother, she decides she wants to live with Nancy instead. To Chloe, Nancy feels like the perfect normal mother she always wanted. But as Chloe tries to leave the house, Henry stops her at the door. Frustrated and emotional, Chloe secretly wishes for her father to disappear forever. Hearing this, Henry sadly tells her that one day his enemies really will kill him. And when that happens, Chloe will be completely alone and regret ever wishing for it. Later, Chloe pretends to feel sorry for what she said. She secretly puts sleeping medicine into Henry's juice and hands him the drink while apologizing. But before taking a sip, Henry notices a strange smell in the glass. Immediately realizing something is wrong, he angrily chases after Chloe. Furious over her betrayal, Henry starts yelling at her. In panic, Chloe suddenly uses her powers and orders him to go to sleep. Instantly, Henry collapses unconscious on the floor. At the same time, blood starts dripping from Chloe's eyes, showing that using her powers comes with a painful cost. Knowing she cannot stay there anymore, Chloe rushes to the safe, grabs a large amount of money, and runs away from home. Outside, she meets her grandfather, Alan, who gently wipes the blood from her face. When Alan learns that Chloe wants Nancy to become her new mother, he convinces her to get inside the truck by promising to take her to her real mother instead. Later, Alan disguises himself as a priest and secretly meets Agent Ray at a bakery while she is eating breakfast. Once they are alone, Alan tells Ray that they both want the same thing. Then he asks for her help in taking Chloe safely to Matic Mountain. Alan explains that 7 years earlier, a baby girl was abandoned outside his church with a note asking him to protect her. He says he suspected the baby might be a freak, so he decided to raise her himself. But Chloe suddenly interrupts him and exposes the lie. She reveals that she was actually raised by her father. Then when Chloe hears Alan calling her a freak, she becomes furious. More than anything, Chloe just wants to be normal. She refuses to accept that she is different from everyone else. Upset and emotional, she runs away from the bakery. Alan quickly chases after her, but before leaving, he realizes that one of the cooks overheard their conversation. Without hesitation, Alan grabs a pen and violently stabs the cook in the eyes. As the cook screams in pain, Agent Ray and her team immediately pull out their guns. When the injured cook runs outside asking for help, the agents mistake him for a threat and shoot him dead. Hearing the gunshots, Alan quickly uses his supernatural ability to become invisible. Then he escapes with Chloe inside the ice cream truck. While driving away, Alan becomes angry and emotional. He realizes he may have lost his only chance to save his daughter. His real plan was to convince Agent Ray to secretly help Chloe reach Matic Mountain. But deep down, Alan already knew the horrifying truth. Matic Mountain was never a safe place for freaks. It was actually a prison. He still wants to go there because his daughter Mary is being held inside that place. Deep down, he hopes there is still a chance to save her. Meanwhile, Chloe believes her real mother is already dead. Because of this, she forces Alan to take her back home. She plans to give the stolen money to Nancy and convince her to adopt her as a normal daughter. But while driving back, Alan suddenly sees Henry standing in the middle of the road. Chloe immediately jumps out of the truck and runs straight toward her father. Henry then uses his powers to transport Alan and the ice cream truck far away from them. After that, he takes Chloe back home. However, Chloe refuses to stay there. She orders her father to let her go and runs toward Nancy's house. While crossing the street, Chloe is almost hit by a speeding car, but at the last second, Henry saves her by slowing down time itself. For the first time, Chloe finally understands the truth. Her father also has superpowers. Henry explains that he created a special time bubble around their house to keep Chloe safe from the outside world. Inside the bubble, time moves very slowly compared to the real world. The problem is that the bubble only works while Henry is awake. Because of this, even though Chloe and Henry have lived together for 7 years inside the house, only 2 months have passed for everyone else outside. That means Chloe's mother was taken away only 2 months ago in the real world. Henry finally realizes how much pain and loneliness this life has caused his daughter. Feeling guilty, he decides to let Nancy and Steve adopt Chloe. Years earlier, Henry secretly made a deal with the neighbors. If anything ever happened to him, they would take care of Chloe in exchange for a huge amount of money. But because of the time bubble, Nancy and Steve remember that conversation as if it happened only 1 month ago. They have not even prepared Harper for the idea of suddenly having a new sister. So when Harper learns that Chloe may move into their house, she becomes furious. She does not want a freak living with her family. Things get even worse when Nancy hears that Chloe keeps teleporting into Harper's room at night and frightening her. Nancy then tells Henry that she needs more time to think about the adoption. Desperate to finally have a mother, Chloe secretly uses her powers on Nancy and forces her to say that she loves her. For a moment, it works. But only minutes later, Nancy realizes that Chloe entered her mind and controlled her thoughts. Terrified, Nancy immediately throws Henry and Chloe out of the house. At that moment, Chloe realizes her dream of having a normal family is completely destroyed. Soon after, Henry notices blood coming from Chloe's eyes and understands that her powers are becoming stronger. Afraid of losing control, he locks Chloe inside the closet again before leaving to question Alan. While sitting alone in the dark, Chloe suddenly sees Mary once again. Since she still believes her mother is dead, Chloe thinks the woman is only a ghost. But then something shocking happens. The prison cell door suddenly opens, and armed guards drag Mary away while she screams for help. That is when Chloe finally realizes the truth. Her mother is alive. Panicking, Chloe desperately tries to warn her father, but Henry refuses to listen and locks the door tightly so she cannot escape. Furious and emotional, Chloe threatens to kill her father. Then she uses her powers to force him to point a screwdriver at himself. Henry finally understands that Chloe has become too powerful for him to control anymore. Realizing he cannot keep her trapped forever, he unlocks the door, but Chloe has pushed her powers too far. Blood starts pouring from her mouth, and she suddenly collapses unconscious. Terrified, Henry carries her to the living room and begs Alan to help save her. When Chloe finally wakes up, she explains that she saw a vision of her mother alive inside a prison. Henry immediately says that cannot be true because Mary is dead. But then Alan finally reveals the truth. Some time ago, he secretly discovered that Mary was still alive at Matic Mountain. Hearing this, Henry becomes furious. He blames Alan for sending Mary on what was basically a suicide mission years earlier. Still, Henry now knows there is only one thing left to do. He must rescue his wife. At that moment, Chloe looks outside the window and notices police officers surrounding the house. Nancy secretly called them for help. Using her powers, Chloe allows her father to hear the police conversation from outside. The officers announce that if the freaks resist arrest, they will be shot immediately. But if they surrender peacefully, they will be taken to Matic Mountain as prisoners. Hearing this, Chloe becomes desperate to protect her father and grandfather. Using her powers, she invades a police officer's mind and forces him to stab Nancy in the eye with a pen. Then she makes him point his gun at himself. But before the officer can pull the trigger, Henry stops him. The moment the other officers hear Nancy screaming, they panic and think she is attacking someone. Without understanding what is happening, the police open fire and accidentally shoot Nancy right at her own front door. At the same time, Alan tries to grab Chloe and escape with her. He uses his invisibility powers to hide himself while running away, but Chloe breaks free from his arms and rushes back into her room. While holding tightly onto the photo of her mother, Chloe suddenly transports herself into a room deep inside Matic Mountain. There, she finally sees Mary lying trapped on a stretcher like a prisoner. Moments later, Henry also appears in the room and comes face to face with his wife for the first time in years. Shocked and emotional, he realizes Mary is truly alive. Then Henry notices a scientist walking toward her with a syringe. Instantly, he pulls the trigger to stop him. But strangely, the scientist cannot see Henry or Chloe at all. The only person who can see them is Mary. Mary tearfully apologizes to Chloe for missing her entire childhood and never being there to raise her. Just as the doctor is about to inject a dangerous liquid into Mary's neck, Chloe finally acts. Using her powers, she controls the scientist's mind and forces him to inject the chemical into himself instead. Then Chloe mentally controls a guard and forces him to unlock Mary's restraints. As Mary prepares to escape, Henry suddenly hears someone ringing the front doorbell back at the house. He immediately freezes time again. When he looks outside, he sees Agent Ray standing there with her team. Realizing danger is close, Henry warns Chloe that they need to escape quickly, but Chloe refuses to leave yet. She still needs more time to help her mother escape from Matic Mountain, so she asks her father to distract Agent Ray while she finishes the rescue. Henry quickly washes the blood around his eyes, unfreezes time, and opens the front door. The moment Ray sees him, she recognizes exactly who he is. She warns Henry that if he tries to kill her, her team will launch a missile and destroy the entire house. Then she gives him another option. If Henry peacefully hands Chloe over to the authorities, Ray promises to help save the girl. But Henry knows the truth. If he surrenders Chloe, he will lose his daughter forever. During the tense conversation, Alan secretly appears beside Ray while invisible and quietly steals her gun without her noticing. When Ray suddenly realizes a gun is pointed at her head, she tries to stay calm, and tells Alan to think carefully about Chloe's future. Meanwhile, inside Matic Mountain, Chloe takes control of a guard named Robert and uses him to guide Mary toward the exit. When another guard almost discovers them, Chloe attacks him before he can raise the alarm, but only seconds later, the entire prison goes into emergency lockdown. Back at the house, Ray uses the distraction to grab her weapon again. She quickly fires at Henry. Henry uses his powers to slow the bullet down, but he still gets hit. Realizing the situation is hopeless, Alan turns invisible and tries to escape. At the same time, Ray discovers that Chloe is helping Mary escape from the prison. Deciding Chloe is too dangerous to live, Ray prepares to execute her. But before she can shoot, Alan suddenly jumps in front of Chloe and takes the bullet himself. The old man sacrifices his own life to save his granddaughter. Seeing her grandfather collapse, Chloe becomes overwhelmed with rage and grief. Using her powers one last time, she forces Ray to turn the gun on herself and pull the trigger. After that, Chloe desperately tries to save Alan, but sadly, it is too late. Alan dies peacefully while holding the photo of his daughter Mary in his hands. Even after losing so much blood, Henry's first concern is still Chloe. After making sure his daughter is safe, he tells her to continue helping Mary escape from Matic Mountain while he stays behind to deal with the agents outside. Using Ray's radio, Henry contacts the military and lies that Agent Ray is still alive and being held hostage inside the house. But the military leader, Reese, does not believe him. Reese is convinced Ray is already dead and refuses to back down. Realizing there is no other choice left, Henry uses his powers one more time. He freezes time and attacks the police officers surrounding the house. The moment time starts moving normally again, Reese sees several officers already dead and immediately orders a drone strike on the house. Meanwhile, Mary is finally escaping from Matic Mountain. With Chloe secretly helping her through their powers, Mary manages to defeat every guard trying to stop her. But Chloe is becoming weaker and weaker after using her powers non-stop. Exhausted and barely able to stand, she goes downstairs and finds Henry badly wounded from the gunfight. At that same moment, Chloe hears her mother crying for help once again. Even while weak, Chloe forces herself to use her powers again. She invades the soldiers' minds and makes them unlock the prison doors for Mary. The second Mary escapes outside, she immediately uses her flying powers to rush toward her daughter. But at the same time, the military missile is already heading straight for the house. For one final time, Henry gathers every bit of strength left inside him. He freezes time again and manages to pull Chloe away just before the missile destroys the entire house. The explosion is massive, but somehow Chloe and Henry survive. As the smoke clears, Chloe tries to help her father stand up, but Henry has lost too much blood. Knowing he is dying, he smiles proudly at Chloe and tells her that she saved her mother's life. After saying goodbye to his daughter, Henry finally passes away. Heartbroken, Chloe hides quietly in the rubble. Then suddenly, she sees someone flying toward her through the smoke. It is Mary. Filled with rage, Mary destroys the soldiers who were hunting Chloe. Then she rushes over and tightly hugs her daughter for the first time. When Mary sees Henry's lifeless body, she becomes emotional. She promises Chloe that from now on, she will always protect her. In the end, mother and daughter leave together to search for a new place where they can finally live in peace. So, what did you think about Freaks? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing movie recaps. See you in the next video.